To me, like, entrepreneurship is a sport, and if you're not training for it, you're not going to last too long.
Meat, muscles, mindset, and money.
Mindset and money. Okay, I like that. I mean, money's what makes the world go around. People can say, you know, money's evil and all these sorts of things. They're full of crap. If you don't have money, money is just a tool to be able to live the life and do things that you want to do. And also, I think it's selfish not to go out and want to create wealth.
I've been getting up at 3:30 because I've got quite a lot of stuff to get done. I'm finalising my book, healthy body, healthy mind, and a healthy bank account. And I don't think you can have true wealth without having all three of those. Robin Williams, he had loads of money and made everyone else feel happy, but he up here was all messed up. This is an interview episode, and we have a special guest with us today. I won't introduce him for you. His name's Sam, so I'll pass it over to you, Sam, to introduce yourself and give everyone a little bit of an intro to who you are.
Yeah, for sure, man. First off, appreciate you having me on. Coming all the way from the States. I know we're across the pond from each other. But yeah, my name's Sam Anderson. I'm a serial entrepreneur here in the Richmond, Virginia area. I've owned and operated several businesses, founded, co-founded. My main focuses right now are Enso Media Firm. We're a full production media firm that focuses on video marketing, social media management, photography, graphic design, podcast production, and drone services. Outside of that, I'm also an investor in terms of real estate. Also a public speaker under my Mr Preneur brand, and I also do some one-on-one coaching with entrepreneurs that are just getting started.
Wow, you definitely are a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur with ADHD.
Excellent. Most entrepreneurs are, I think. I've got a little bit of that. So
Yep.
Yeah, we all need to be. But yeah, cool. So again, thank you for coming on. So I asked this question, or I'm going to ask this question to everyone coming on. So the Carnivore Entrepreneur suggests a couple things. It suggests that you like meat, muscles, mindset, and money. Can you just give me a little bit of, or give everyone a little bit of a brief as to why you're qualified to be a carnivore entrepreneur?
Well, it sounds like you're just trying to interview real men, and I would qualify myself as a real man.
Excellent. Okay.
I like meat. Yes. Like a good burgers are my thing. Like, I'm not as big of a steak guy, but I love a good cheeseburger. Then the muscle piece, like, I'm addicted to the gym. I'm normally up by 5 a.m. every day. Actually,
yeah, I've seen a lot of your videos, man. You're looking good.
Yeah, I'm trying, bro. So I'll get up about 4:45 in the morning. I've recently just started getting up a little bit earlier, hit the gym for an hour. To me, like, entrepreneurship is a sport, and if you're not training for it, you're not going to last too long. Like, I've had mentors over the years that were multimillionaires, but they were extremely out of shape. And it's like, if you have all this wealth, but you can't fully enjoy it because of your health, then what's the point? Also, I think your why changes once you start to have a family. So having a wife and 2 kids, like, before we used to go to the gym just to get a 6-pack and look sexy for the women to pick up at bars. Now it's like, I don't want to be a hunchback once my kid graduates high school. I want to be able to run around with them and do all the things that I need to do. So I want to be picking up my kids and they're like, is that your grandpa or your dad? Like, so we want to keep that tight and in shape. What was the third element? Education?
Meat, muscles, mindset, and money.
Mindset and money. Okay, I like those. So yeah, mindset, I'm real big on keeping a hardcore focus on that. I'm not one of these type of people that I need a cheerleader hyping me up all the time. Like, I'm self-motivated. It doesn't take much to get me out the bed in the morning and get rolling. I tell people all the time that Mondays are my favorite day of the week. For most people, Friday is their favorite day of the week. I love Monday because I get to get back to the office and start creating again. And then money. I mean, money's what makes the world go around. People can say, money's evil and all these sorts of things. They're full of crap. If you don't have money, money is just a tool to be able to live the life and do things that you want to do. And also, I think it's selfish not to go out and want to create wealth, because think of the amount of people that you can assist when you have that ability to do so. When you're worried about, just keeping the lights on and things like that, it's hard to give back to others. But when you're in a wealth mindset and you have that abundance, you're able to go out and do things for others and be able to give them a hand up as well too.
Yeah, awesome, man. You are literally singing from the same place that I am. When you say about the time you get up in the morning, I'm a 4:20, 4:30 kind of guy. Actually, for the last couple of days, I've been getting up at 3:30 because I've got quite a lot of stuff to get done. I'm finalizing my book.
Let me ask you that.
And
What time do you go to bed? If you get up at 3:30, what time do you go to bed?
well, when I get up at 4:30, I go to bed at 9:30. But last night I went to bed at 8:30.
See, that's the hard part for me, is going to bed
Yeah, I know.
earlier, because my brain is still going. I'm watching YouTube videos. Like, it's hard. So I'll normally go to bed like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and getting up at 4:45.
Wow.
I need to cut that out.
Well, sleep's really important. And when you were saying about how you want to have strength, to be able to play with your kids until you're old, or whatever, your grandkids, and that's a massive thing for me. And you mentioned that you've been mentored by like people that are multimillionaires, that were overweight or unhealthy. That to me isn't wealth. For me, wealth is having a healthy body, healthy mind, and a healthy bank account. And I don't think you can have true wealth without having all three of those. So like, and this is where I believe in having that holistic approach to things. Like you were saying, it you can't, money is an enabler. Like, how can, if you had a great body and a great mind, you can't enjoy yourself if you're homeless, right?
Absolutely.
And if you've got loads of money but your mind's all fucked up, you can't enjoy yourself as well. There's that story of Robin Williams. Robin Williams, he had loads of money and made everyone else feel happy, but he up here was all messed up.
Absolutely.
And that's why he ended up committing suicide. So,
and the other component I'd add to that is the spiritual element too. I think, health in your body, health in your finance, health in your spiritual life. Now, I love Jesus, but I cuss too. So I don't want anybody, when I start dropping F-bombs on this podcast, like, I thought he was a Christian. You can love Christ.
That's why I said the F word. Give you
There you go. But having that like, just knowing that there is a higher power and having that anchor, like, it helps center you. And I don't care what religion you are, whether you're Islamic, you're Christian, you're Catholic, you're Jewish, whatever it is. All of these teachings, they all have the same core foundations. And, we spend so much time reading all these business books, entrepreneur, financial intelligence, all these different things, when all the cheat codes are in these books that are thousands of years old. Like, the Bible, the Quran, like, all these different things tell you how to build wealth. And a lot of people just don't want to hear because of what's layered around it. But I'm telling you, man, like, once I got serious about my spiritual life, and I grew up in the church, like, my dad had been a pastor since the day I was born.
Okay.
But I got off of college, man, I got real silly. But coming back to that now and still being around it, like, I don't think it's like a one size fits all, that you have to do these things to be a Christian or have, spiritual faith. I think it's another component of who you build on, because if you ground yourself in these principles, you're going to treat people right. You're going to treat yourself right. Biggest thing. I think somebody that truly has belief and is spiritual, you're taking care of your body because you realize it's a vessel and a tool that was just given to you for a little.
The body is your temple, right?
Yep.
So no, definitely on the same page with you on that one. And I think there's a lot of similarities to how we approach things, because I wasn't brought up in the church, but I was a born again Christian when I was 18 years old, and realized that there's a lot of truth in lots of different religion. But what made me break away from that was their whole grasp on wanting me to do things their way. And the other thing that I believe in is, I believe that there's truth in everything. So there's truth in every religion. There's truth in everything that's ever written.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you have to decide your truth from it. So you take all the truth that's out there and you decide what is the truth for you.
Absolutely.
And and that's what I've hung my hat on. And I do believe there's a higher power out there. But I don't hang my hat on a specific religion anymore.
Yeah.
I hang my hat on my beliefs and what I want to, go about my life living.
Yeah. It's a good way of looking at it.
Which I think is the most important thing. So cool. So we spoke a little bit before the interview, and you mentioned that you quit college, but you didn't stop educating.
Nope.
Can you give us your sort of view on what people would say in terms of people that wanted to drop out of college and do something else?
All right. I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this. I got a real problem with higher education. All right. That system is so antiquated. Yeah. It makes no sense whatsoever to me. So there are a few professions where I feel like if this is what you want to pursue, college is a stepping stone to that finish line. So like if you want to be a doctor, I don't want my doctor being educated on YouTube. You need to go to college. You need to go to medical school.
Yeah.
If you want to be an attorney, and I've actually come back on this, you don't have to go to college to be an attorney. All you have to do is pass the bar. Now, passing the bar would be very
interesting.
Yeah, passing the bar would be very difficult without going to school. But you look at that show like Suits, like that guy was
Suits,
genius. Yeah, and he was able to memorize everything in these legal books and ultimately train himself to be an attorney. The biggest thing I got from college and university is the relationships, the networking, because you literally have this one location where all these people from different parts of the country, different parts of the world are all coming to one place and living together. So the first 4 businesses I started, all of my business partners were people that I met in college. So to me, the bill that I paid for that tuition was the relationships. So my kids are very young. They're 5. My daughter's 5. My son's about to be 4. And I constantly think about this in terms of like what things will look like for them when they get to that point and what I'll do as a parent. So me and my wife haven't talked about this greatly in depth, but here's my philosophy. If you have no idea what you want to do and you want to go to college or university to find yourself, cool. I'm with it. Dad knows what he's doing. I'm getting things right. I'll pay for the first 2 years for you to go to school and find yourself. But the main things I'm going to be looking for is keep your grades somewhat respectful, enjoy yourself, and network more than anything. Create those relationships. After 2 years, if you have no idea what you want to do, you're either footing the bill for the last 2 years or you need to come home and find a job or start a business or whatever it is. Like, but you need to figure out your next path. Don't just sit there, because I believe 75% of the jobs in the world right now do not require a college degree. Now, a lot of those require a certification, but they don't require a college degree. There are only 25% of the jobs in the marketplace right now that require a degree. So that whole system is antiquated. In terms of how people view that, I think the perspective is changing. I think back when you and I were probably growing up, you were a loser if you didn't go to college. It was like, man, you're a bum. You're doing nothing with your life. Now, I mean, I would encourage, you can go be a plumber, electrician, or whatever. You can start out the gate making $70,000 a year if you can find a trade. And I just interviewed a guy on my podcast yesterday. He's an electrician, and he was able to get his education through working with other companies. So he wasn't making that much money, but he was assisting these electricians, these HVAC guys. And once he got the skill set up, he moved on to another business that could teach him something else. So he rinsed and repeated this for about 5 years. Every year he changed a job just to learn something different, but he wasn't going into debt trying to get an education on this. He was actually making money and getting the skill set that he needed. Now, in terms of continually educating yourself, if you feel so, we'll take myself as an example. I work in the marketing space. If I relied on the information that I got 5 years ago, I'm not going to stay in business. Social media constantly changes monthly, if not weekly. Video marketing techniques constantly change. Podcasting is on the rise. Like knowing the trends and things that are taking place, clients aren't going to spend their dollars with my organization if we're not up to speed and getting them the proper results. So I think education is a big thing. Every single time I get in the car, I'm over the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef and listen to all that crap. Like when I get in my car, I've made my car a mobile university. I'm either listening to
Oh man,
podcasts or audiobooks.
speaking my language again.
Yes, you have to constantly feed this stuff into your brain because I think when I got up started early, I would literally, there was a time last year, and this is going to happen as an entrepreneur. You're going to get in these funks where it's just like everybody thinks our life is sweet. We're our own boss. We call the shots, blah, blah, blah. No, when I quit working for somebody else, I gave up one boss to take on hundreds of bosses, which are now my clients. So there was a time last year I was just getting burnt out, man. And as an entrepreneur, there are periods where you will get burnt out. And I was just waking up with no motivation, which to me freaked me the hell out because I'm a very energized, motivated person. Like I said earlier, I don't need anybody to hype me up. So I just got in this funk where like I didn't even feel like doing this anymore. I was like, man, am I at the point where I'm ready to sell this business? And I sat myself down on the couch. I searched on YouTube entrepreneur motivation, and I just pummeled my head with information, motivational content for 2 straight hours. After that, I woke up the next morning. I was good to go. So I'm not real big on the rah-rah stuff. I don't need a lot of motivational content, but there are periods where I need to feed my mind on that stuff. And then looking at things like financial literacy. Like these are things that are not taught in the school system. My parents
No.
didn't give me any lessons on money. They told me to save, but outside of that, we never talked about the stock market. We never talked about credit card debt. We never talked about business loans. We never discussed any of this stuff. So I had to go out and seek this information on my own. And 2 ways that I primarily get information. One, well, yeah, 2. I guess you can break it down as categories. Either by reading or audio. So the podcast, the audio books, or actually sitting down and reading a physical book.
Reading books.
And 2, the circle you keep around you. I roll with guys who are smarter than me in other areas. Now, I may be smarter than them when it comes to marketing and business development and all these other things, but like literally my best friend is also my financial advisor. So me and him jump on a phone call probably 3 to 4 times a week, just chopping it up. But we're always talking about the stock market, business development. We're figuring out what conference we're going to go to next. He's connecting me with potential clients. I'm doing the same for him. And it's like when you build a tribe of people like that around you, the education never stops. And you're putting yourself in an environment where you're forced to educate yourself. Because if you're rolling with that caliber of people and you start to slow down for a minute, they're not going to drag you along. You either got to keep pace or they're going to let you fall behind. So I think educating yourself, getting the information constantly, not on a monthly or yearly basis, but on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, the who you surround yourself with is a massive thing as well. You know, it's amazing. I think I heard it from Jim Rohn originally. If you're not happy where you are, look at the 5 people around you.
Yep.
You know, that you're closest to. And actually,
it makes such a difference.
Oh man, I within 2 years of leaving my hometown and my ex-wife, I became an entrepreneur. You know, and I was 34 at the time, and within 2 years, I became an entrepreneur.
Yep.
I hadn't quit my job until a couple of years after that, but I'd started up the business and I was on that journey and educated myself.
On that note
education,
too,
sorry.
Yeah, on that note too, like here's one thing I've been telling people often. One of the most important decisions you make as an entrepreneur is who you decide to spend the rest of your life with.
That's the person you surround yourself with the most, right?
Yes. So like my wife is complete opposite. She could not stomach a half a day of being an entrepreneur. Like she likes things organized. She's a stay-at-home mom now. That was one of her dreams. But literally I got this lesson from a mentor early on in life. I was probably like 19 years old. And he told me to sit down and write a list. Don't keep it up here. Write a list.
If you
Write out
write,
a
you invite.
detailed list of all the things you are looking for in a spouse. And you got to get past the superficial piece of like, she's got to be hot. She got to have long hair. You can have some of that in there. But you got to dig a lot deeper. Like my list was probably 48 things long in terms of what I was looking for in a partner. And what that list does for you, it's not necessarily about identifying that person. Part of it is. The other piece is, let's say on that list you put, I don't want my spouse to be a smoker. Well, you can't be smoking 2 cartons of cigarettes a day and then expect the person that you're going to be with to not be a smoker. Or you can't say, hey, I want the person I'm going to be with to have a 6-pack and you're eating Oreos laying on the couch every single night. It doesn't work out like that. So when you write out that list, it helps you identify the type of person that you have to be in order to attract that type of person into your life. And also, the second part of that is a lot of times I think the right opportunities, the right people come into our lives, but we're not in the headspace to recognize when the right opportunities and the right people have come along. So when you're able to identify these things, if I didn't write that list, and my wife hit like 46 out of the 48 things I had on that list, I wouldn't have been able to identify her once she came into my life had I not written that list out. And I think you can equate that to different areas of your business or your life, whether it's business, your personal life, whatever it is. Writing lists is such a game changer. And people are like, oh, no, I got it up here. Like, that's antiquated. Like, I'm not writing things down old school. I'm telling you, something happens between the mental, the spiritual, when you physically write things out. The universe just kind of opens up and says, okay, this is what you're looking for. You've identified it. We're going to start to create a path to make that happen. So I think writing these things out is extremely important.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you journal?
I do not, and that was something I was reading up on the other day. Actually, I was at a conference last week, and a young lady, extremely successful, got a copy of her book while she was at the conference. I immediately jumped into her book, and one of the first things she said in the book was that that's part of her morning routine is journaling. For me, it's, and now I think back, I used to have a journal when I was younger, like 12 or 13. I used to journal every single day.
Okay.
But I also recognize where my strengths lie. So I put a ton of content out on social media. I'm a much better speaker than I am a writer. So writing frustrates me to a certain degree, but I can take that same thought, turn on a video camera, and spew that off better than most people could. And I think that's an important note. People need to figure out what their strength is. Like, yeah, video content may be great for your brand and the different things you're doing, but if that's not your strength, don't lean that way. Like, there's still major platforms like Reddit, Medium, places like that where people are blogging, writing these long articles. Even LinkedIn, you can write these long blog posts. If that's where your strength lies, go that way. But journaling is something that I'm currently considering.
I mean, I've been journaling for 3 years now, properly, where I keep it simple. Just a few things in the morning, a few things in the evening, just to set up and end off the day.
Yeah.
And I was reflecting back on my journaling when I was writing my book, and the year that I started journaling was the first year that we turned over 7 figures as a business.
Ooh.
So
power.
Crazy, right? Like, and it was something that just tweaked in. I think actually Kay bought me a book because she saw me starting to do journaling, and she thought, oh, she'll find me a journal. And she found me this amazing journal, and I've been doing it ever since. And I've not really missed a day. So that's been a massive thing for me.
And you mentioned about be said about just the consistency of doing something every day. Like, whether it's the gym or writing or going for a walk, like whatever it is, meditating, whatever it is. If you can get consistent with something and have that discipline, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And
absolutely,
the people that are successful or the people that are reaching their goals, that are finding happiness, they're disciplined in just about every area of their life. Because if I do something like that on this side, it has to convert to the other areas of my life.
Yeah, no, totally. And you mentioned something about writing down a list of what you wanted in your partner, and I think I sort of did that when I left my ex-wife, but I met Kay virtually straight away, so that sort of didn't happen, that list thing. But Kay asked me the other day, "Why do you love me?" And
man, why do women ask those questions like that?
Right? Yeah. It came to me, so I put it in my book, and it was probably I thought it was a perfect answer. But I said, you don't just love me for who I am, you love me for who I'm becoming. And I said that to her, and it made me think, yeah, she doesn't just love me for what I am at the moment and doesn't want me to change. She loves me for where I'm going and all the mistakes that I'm going to make along the way, and supports me and pushes me to be that person. Because Kay and I we run our businesses together, and that's probably one of the differences between our relationship and some other relationships like yourself, where stay-at-home mum, and she's just not you know a motherly person. Like that's not her thing. Like we've got kids, but she doesn't mother the kids, and it's amazing to see her work. But we've got opposite personality types. So while I'm the front facing person, like I said, and she's more the background doing all the operations.
Yep.
But yeah, I think finding that right person, having people surround you, and continuously educating yourself daily is a huge point.
Absolutely.
I've got a question, get a little bit deeper into your story. Can you tell me when was the moment that you thought, yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to run my own business?
Ooh.
What was that? What made you do it?
I like that question. So I'm going to give you a two-parter on this. One, I fully believe entrepreneurs are born, they're not made. So you look at somebody like, to me, the GOAT of basketball will always be Michael Jordan. So all you LeBron
people,
like,
nice.
Move to the side. You look at a guy like Michael Jordan, God-given talent. Like this guy was literally born to play the game of basketball. Now he took that talent and he worked harder than anybody else ever had to craft his gift. But you could put me in the gym for 15 hours a day. Ain't no way in the world I'm making it to the NBA, man. It just ain't happening. I'm sorry. And I feel entrepreneurship is that way too, where it's like, it's just having the stomach for this, man, because it is a up and down roller coaster ride. Like it's the moment you feel you're on top of the mountain and you're the most badass entrepreneur that ever existed, you get punched in the gut and that client leaves you, or your team screws up something majorly, or something happens. Somebody's talking bad about you behind your back and now it's getting around town. Whatever it is, you have to have a stomach for this. So I think it was a combination of things in terms of, I remember doing an exercise in middle school and they asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. I mean, a lot of kids are saying firefighter, this, that, or the other. I still remember this like it was yesterday. The thing I said is, I don't know exactly what I want to be, but I know I want to dress nice and I know I want to work with computers. Those are the only two things that I knew, which is ultimately come to fruition. But I think it's the string of, actually, no, I can pinpoint for you exactly. It's a book, which I don't rock with this dude as much, but I think this book is a great foundation. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay, yeah, cool.
I read that book and it was like I'd been seeing the world in black and white my whole life, and then all of a sudden I could see in color for the first time. I was like, wait, hold up. They're everyday people owning their own business and doing X, Y, and Z, and they're living these lifestyles. Like they don't have to go clock in and out and ask their boss to go pee or when they can eat, and different, like it's little stuff like that where I'm like, I gotta ask another grown man, like, what if I'm not hungry at 12 o'clock? What if I want to eat lunch at 1:30? I gotta go on your schedule. Like I can't do, just didn't sit right with me. But that book was the moment it confirmed everything for me. Like, yeah, I was put on this earth to be an entrepreneur, and that book kind of opened my eyes. And this is at a time where I did not read. Like, you'd have to put a gun to my head to force me to read a book. But a mentor gave me that book, and he said, "Man, you need to read this. It's going to change your life." And things were never the same for me after I read that book.
Awesome. Yeah. I just, for some reason, for me, I just always wanted to be the boss.
It costs to be the boss. I'll say that.
Yeah, right. And I think you're right. I think people are born to be certain things, but you've got to work at it. Like, you don't want to go to the grave with stuff that you haven't realized. And you, if you want to be anything, whatever you were supposed to be, you've got to work hard at it. I mean, look at someone like, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi. Yep. They're born with the talent, but if they didn't work as hard as they worked, they never would have realized that talent. And
the most expensive real estate in the world is the graveyard, because so many people go 6 feet under with their dreams still buried in them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember a quote from someone. I can't remember where it was, but it was "die empty." You know, get everything out
Yeah,
before
I want this
you
tank to
go to
be
the
on
grave.
E when I go, man.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, that's cool, man. It's nice to hear others' perspective, and I think not everyone's built to be an entrepreneur, right? If
No,
everyone in this world was an entrepreneur, nothing would ever happen.
no. And I want to say this too, because I feel like entrepreneurship is kind of like pushed on a lot of people. Look, if you're not built for entrepreneurship, that's okay. I'm more concerned with people finding what's going to fulfill them in life. So you may
Absolutely.
be a great graphic designer, but owning a graphic design business is going to be a nightmare for you. There's nothing wrong with going to work for somebody else that gives you the flexibility to be creative. A lot of people need that structure that's just kind of given to them. Not everybody's brain operates the same way. But to your point, if everybody was an entrepreneur, the world's economy could not survive. Like there have to be people that work. Some people, and sometimes I have envied my employees sometimes where it's like, man, I wish I could just leave here at 5 o'clock and completely block all this out of my head and just go do whatever. Like I can't. Like I cannot turn this off. Like I can't vacation for more than 3 days at a time because I get stir crazy. I'm like, there's stuff I need to be doing. Like because I feel like while I'm resting, there's another guy coming for my crown. So I always got to be on it. That's not to say don't take time, spend with your friends and family, enjoy yourself, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. I find time for that, but it's just knowing that like man, I just can't shut this off. Like it doesn't stop.
But
So
you also love what you do, right?
I
And
absolutely
you almost don't feel like you're working when you work.
exactly
That's why you look forward to Mondays.
yeah. This office is my happy place. Like a lot of people can't wait to get home from work. I can't wait to leave home and get to work. And that's no ding against my kids or my wife or anything like that. This is what I was born to do. And once you've identified your purpose in this earth and why you are here, man, that's a hunger that nothing else can fill. Like either you're doing what you love and you know you're fulfilled, and it gives you peace too. Like through my early 20s and navigating all that, trying to figure out who I am and what I want to do. Like that's a tough time. Like not knowing exactly where you're supposed to fit in, but that moment where you realize, no, that's what I'm supposed to do, and you have something to work after.
Yeah. Interesting on purpose. I had this thought the other day and I wrote it down because it was quite profound. Everyone talks about finding your purpose, but I believe that you're born with a purpose.
Yeah,
So I thought it's not really something that you find, it's something that you allow to come through.
yeah, it finds you.
It finds you. It's already there. You just have to let it come through and be be susceptible to seeing it and
Yep,
hearing it and being part of it because it's already there. Like Michael Jordan, born to be a basketball player, Cristiano Ronaldo, born to be a soccer player, right?
yep.
We were born to be entrepreneurs and born to help people because it sounds like you have that passion to help people as well.
No,
you
absolutely.
know
And
and
I think that
and
that passion piece too. I think sometimes that can be a little bullshit because I've seen a lot of people follow their passion and go broke.
mm,
Like understanding what your true purpose is, like running a business, it's not always fun. Like
no.
I'm looking around and there's like stuff I got to do with my taxes and I got to do this stuff with payroll and it's like this documentation I got to get off and writing up contracts. Like I don't want to do this shit. Like this is not the fun part of my job, but it gets me to the end goal that fulfills my purpose. So you may ultimately, you may have wanderlust and just want to travel the world. You may be in a field or doing something that's lucrative, making you a lot of money that you don't necessarily get all that excited about, but it fulfills you in another way. So I don't think people should just immediately go after their passion. Yeah, find out what you're interested in, a lane that works for you. I think find the most lucrative way of doing that. Because I know guys who own like trash removal companies, dirty jobs. Who wakes up one morning saying, I want to be a garbage man? Probably nobody. But the cash flow this dude has is ridiculous. And he vacations like nobody else. He lives a lifestyle like nobody else. He's fully in control of his time. And he's able to take the income that he's making there and make the investments that are making him money while he sleeps. So I caution people, like when you're chasing your passion. Let's go back to basketball. You may be passionate about basketball, but you ain't built like that. You may be 5'5" and 190 pounds. You ain't running up and down nobody's court, right? But guess what?
Yeah.
There are a ton of other jobs. The NBA employs way more people in the back office than they do that are on the court. Like you may work in marketing, you may work in recruiting. Like you may work with the equipment manager, whatever it is. You can be around the sport all day, every day. But basketball may be your passion, but it may be adjacent and you're still able to work in that space.
That's the thing. That's why, I'm talking about living life on your terms, because sometimes you need to have a boring fucking business on the side or investments that allow you to do the shit that you want to do. Right?
1000%.
Your passion isn't making you any money. Right? You need something that makes you money so that you can do that passion.
Yep. Majority of entrepreneurs I know, if you ask them this one simple question, hey, if your business was making money hand over fist and you didn't have to be involved in it, would you be at the office every single day, 8 hours a day? Hell no.
No.
You're not gonna be doing it. Like, dude, I love golf. I'm dreaming of the day where I can golf 5 days a week, right? There are other businesses that I want to pursue. Like once this thing gets on autopilot, I'm on to the next thing. Like right now, I'm just curating my team to be able to handle this and continually grow the business without my presence here. To me, I don't really have the business I want until I can completely remove myself from it. Not only does it maintain, but it continues to grow.
Yeah, I think you really touched on a good point there. And after this, just touch quickly. We're going to move quickly onto the body and your healthy routines and things like that. But you mentioned about how sorry, I've lost my trail of thought.
Yeah, I do that all the time. All the time. After 30, man, something starts to happen up here.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. You were talking about, oh yeah, that was it. So you want to get your business on autopilot. And the trap that I think people fall into is that they just want their business running without them. But that's not the trick. The trick is that it needs to grow without them. Because if your business isn't growing, it's dying.
Yeah.
And that's where it's not on autopilot, because if it doesn't grow, then it doesn't continue.
Absolutely. 1000%.
So yeah, no, really good point on the growing aspects. I think a lot of entrepreneurs miss that one, which is I just need it running without me. No, you need it growing without you.
You need this thing to grow.
Running and growing. So just to sort of wrap things up, final subject really. You mentioned about going to the gym, getting up early. Talk me through your daily routine to keep your body sharp.
Yep. So number one, let me discuss why I go to the gym so early. It ain't because I enjoy it. I would much rather roll over, knock that alarm clock off my nightstand, and keep snoozing. Anybody that gets up that early in the morning, we don't enjoy it. I want people to understand that. But I enjoy the disciplined version of myself better than I do the undisciplined version. Because like I said, the way you do one thing is the way you're going to do everything. It's also the only time of day where I can completely do something for me 100% undisturbed. Especially when you have a wife and kids and you're running a business, the phone is ringing. There's always things, because like if you're not working, you're wondering if you're spending enough time with your family. When I go to the gym, my wife and kids are still in bed. So it doesn't matter that I'm gone, because they're not going to miss me anyway, because they're unconscious right now at the moment. So getting that in first thing in the morning. Number two, I think just developing a routine to have every single day. I remember reading a study years ago that it was like you're 49% more likely to be successful if you make your bed every morning. And it's not the bed piece of it. It's just the fact that you're in a routine and you're disciplined enough to do something every single morning. Like my wife makes the bed and we got like 20 pillows on it, so she doesn't even trust me to make the bed. So I don't have to worry about that piece. But the training part. So I'll say this is a good nugget in this. So a friend of mine, I'm real big on bartering services. That's the way the economy ran years and years ago where everybody wasn't taking a dollar out of their wallet to pay for a service. It was like, hey, you're a blacksmith. You know, I heard goats. You need goat milk. I need a blacksmith. Let's trade services. So I'm real big on trading services. Like I haven't paid for maintenance on my vehicles in the last 5 years. I have a deal with the mechanic shop. We manage his social media because they don't want anything to do with it. And anytime I got something wrong with my vehicle, I need an oil change, tire rotation, I bring it into him. They take care of it. I never have to pull anything out of my wallet. But the reason I mentioned that is because I have a good friend. Actually, he's been a business partner with me on 2 different businesses. He runs a staffing business, but he's been working from home like the last year and a half with this business, and he was kind of getting stir crazy. But he's real big into health and fitness. Like this guy used to be, before I met him, he was like way overweight, and now he's in phenomenal shape. So it's a passion of his, but he also wanted to get outside. So he said, you know what, I'm gonna go get certified. He didn't tell any of us about it. He just went and got a certification. Once he got a certification, he hit us all up in a group chat and said, hey guys, like just got my certification as a trainer and nutritionist. I need some help like putting together my program. If any of you guys are interested, I'll put together an 8-week program with you completely free. I just need you guys to help me work out the kinks and get feedback from you. I immediately responded and said, hell yeah, man, sign me up. You gonna give me free training? You gonna get me right? Let's go.
I'm in.
So I've been on a program with him for the lab. We just entered the 5th week of the program with him. But I mean, biggest thing is just like keep moving, dude. Like my wife always makes these jokes because we go to 2 separate gyms at 2 separate times.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, she'll see some thought in the gym, like wearing all this skimpy stuff, and she'll make comments to me like, "You better not be checking all those girls out when you're in the gym." And I told her my honest response: I give 2 shits about them girls. I'm married. I don't give a damn. I'm looking at the old guys in the gym that are in super good shape. I'm going and talking
right?
to them. I'm like, bro,
you're
you
eyeing them up and down.
Old. How are you looking better than me? I need the tips. And they all say the same thing. Dude, don't stop moving. He's like, I started working out 15 years ago and I haven't stopped since. And there have been periods in my life where like I've gotten in the gym, then I was off the gym, then I was back in the gym, off the gym. Like COVID screwed me up. And then my wife was basically pregnant throughout COVID. So it's like, you don't want to be an asshole and she's asking for Dairy Queen. And I'm like, just going to get it for her. Well, I got to eat it. Right. So like I'm gaining all this weight too and I have to look in the mirror and get myself right. But yeah, I mean, I start with about 20 minutes of cardio every morning when I get in. Real big on the weight training aspect. A lot of people think like how you drop fat is just doing more cardio. Nah, it's the weight training piece. Plus the weight training gives you longevity. So somebody told me before, I'm about to butcher this. Cardio is for your heart. I can't remember what they said about the weight training.
No, you're on the right. So weight training, strength training is like an armor for your body.
Yes.
And it protects you against everything.
Yep.
And it also it helps your bones as well. And the 2 things that deteriorate as you get older are your bones and your muscles. So yeah, you're right. CV is for your heart and your cardiac health, and strength is for your protection and your longevity.
Yep. And I like getting the cardio in at the beginning because one thing I do every morning, I go through and I look through all my bank accounts. I look through all my investments. First thing in the morning, I want to get an eyeball on where I am financially. So that's a big thing that I started years ago. I don't go to Instagram first. I go to my financial apps. So while I'm on the treadmill for 20 minutes, I'm glancing through some emails, seeing if there's anything I missed from yesterday. I'm checking my financial statements, all that stuff. I got a podcast going while I'm doing my cardio. I'll bump the heavy tunes once I get into the weight training, but like for the cardio piece, I just like to listen to the podcast because I'm not doing anything at a high intensity level. But here's one of the bigger reasons too. Yes, we want health for longevity, to be around for our families, to perform well as entrepreneurs. I heard someone say this years ago and it always stuck with me. If you're in shape and you're taking care of your body, you're much more likely to get business as an entrepreneur than someone who is out of shape.
Yes.
Because people are looking at you and saying, it's the presentation. People are looking at you and saying, man, I can see that guy obviously takes care of his health and he takes care of his body. So if he's given that much attention to detail to himself on a daily basis, I know he's going to handle my account with care. If you sit me next to a guy and we're both pitching the same services and the guy next to me is 150 pounds overweight and I'm in the shape that I'm in, who do you think is going to get the business?
Well, more than likely. In my book, there's 3 things that you need for a healthy body, and they're the same three things that you need for business, and that's discipline, consistency, and delayed gratification. If you can master those three things, not only will you have a healthy body, but you will have a healthy bank account as well.
1,000%. And it gives you, I mean, that peace of mind. I mean, when you're and I'm not saying I'm at a level financial where like I got fuck you money or anything like that. I ain't there yet. But I remember the days where I had to like scrub through my car and try to find some loose change to put $2 of gas in the tank. Like, we ain't got to worry about that. Like, I was thinking the other day, I went and filled up my tank. I remember I used to, every single time I go to the gas station, I have to pull up my bank account to see how much money I had in my account and see if I can fill up the car. And now just a simple fact that I can go to the gas station, pull that pump out, and just fill my car all the way up and don't even have to think about it. Dude, that's a blessing. So, like, when you can reach those pinnacles in your life where, like, the little things don't matter as much, like, now the money decisions we make are for big things. Like, are we going to buy this car? Are we going to buy this investment property? Are we going to send our kids to private school? Like, the options, the problems don't stop in terms of financial. There's always going to be something you need to pay for, invest in, whatever the case is. But getting rid of those smaller problems to be able to tackle the bigger things, when you're in the right state of mind, mentally, physically, and financially, dude, life is just way better. Like, people who say money doesn't bring you happiness, they're full of shit, dude. I ain't never seen nobody frowning on a jet ski. I'm in my happiest place when I'm on a jet ski. And it costs money to be on that jet ski.
Yeah, no, too right. Yeah, I totally believe in everything that you've just said, and actually, you know, if you can go through life with enough money that you don't have to worry about the small shit like your fuel, your groceries, the little things that you buy on Amazon. Like, you know, it's nice to know that I can go on Amazon and buy something for £30 or $30 and not have to look at my bank account to know whether it's in there. And what people don't realize is there are lots of other people out there that do have the money so that they don't have to focus on those little things, but still focus on those little things, which distracts them from thinking on the bigger things that are going to get them a much bigger result. Because once you can stop focusing on those small things, it doesn't take up any brain power anymore.
Yep, 1,000%. Like, people, one of my favorite financial gurus to follow, a guy named Ramit Sethi. Like, he has a podcast. Well, he just changed the name of his podcast. It was I'll Teach You to Be Rich, which is the name I think of his first book. To Money with Couples is now the new name of his podcast. But he's one of these guys, and the reason I follow him is because he's not one of these financial advisor types that'll say, hey, you need to quit going to Starbucks every single day and blah, blah, blah. Like, he talks about building your own rich life. And if I'm not a coffee drinker, but if you going to Starbucks every single day and getting that $5-6 cup of mocha frappa, whatever, if that makes you happy, then fucking do it. But cut out the other bullshit that's not making you happy. Like, all these other things that you're regularly spending money on to keep up with the Joneses. Like, you know, I realized a while ago, you know, I think as men in particular, like, vehicles and what we drive, we think says a lot about us. I realized a while ago when I could afford brand new cars, I don't give a shit about driving a brand new car. This car drives the exact same as the one that I used to get that had 60, 70,000 miles on them when I got it used. Like, I do not care. This thing is just getting me from point A to point B. Now I don't want to be riding in no bucket. Like, I have gotten a little bougie. I need the heated seats and the cooling seats and things like that.
You want the luxuries. You don't need to be stupid with your money.
Yeah, I gotta have all that. But man, those features are now in a basic Honda Accord now. Like, you can get a bare bones Honda Civic and it has heated seats and a heated steering wheel and Apple CarPlay. So these aren't luxuries that like what they used to be. But it's like, if you cut out those other pieces of your life and take note of what's really making you happy and where you're spending your money and realizing, you know what, this really doesn't make me happy. Why am I spending money over here? Then you can allocate those funds to spend and invest more money in the places that are going to make you more happy.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. I'm going to finish off with a few quick fire questions, if that's okay.
All right. Hit me.
So, favorite book?
The Slight Edge.
The Slight Edge.
Yeah.
Interesting. Not read that one. Who's that by?
Phenomenal book. Let me see. Do I have it over here? No, I think I got that book at home. The author's name is escaping me. You look up Slight Edge on Amazon.
Slight Edge.
Find it.
Awesome. Okay. Go-to snack on the road.
I'd say trail mix.
Okay, cool. Just a snack on it.
Yep.
I'm more of a beef jerky guy.
I do like a good beef jerky.
So what about one myth in business that you would banish forever?
That running a business is easy.
There you go. I've already said
it.
Everyone thinks it's so glamorous, right? You run your own business, you have lots of money. But you know what? We have a lot of fucking problems as well.
Yep.
Like, and the problems get bigger. Like last year, we had one of our my head of operations stole $200,000 from us, siphoned it off the business, and that's your point.
Biggie Small
your
said
point
it best,
before
man.
About
more money, more
clarity. Yeah, nuts. But yeah, bigger problems. So what about one top tip for someone that can't quite break through into six figures?
That's a good one, man. You know what I found? It's literally, well, now I'll go this route. You don't have the right network. And if you don't have the right network, go out and find the people. Like I met a guy at a conference last week. This guy's owned his own marketing firm for the last 30 years. I had a really good conversation with him. I didn't broach him about doing business with me. One day after the conference, he shoots me he gave me a call and said, because there are things my company does that his company doesn't. Gives me a call and says, "Hey man, my team's a little overwhelmed. What's your capability? Can you guys knock out this podcast for a client that we're working with?" I was like, "Yeah, man, of course. For you, like this dude's a big wig." So somebody on his team called me an hour later. We're finalizing the deal now. But when you're connected to the right people, those things happen regularly. Where it's like this person, like random calls. Like I used to have to hunt for the business all day, every day. Now the business comes to me. When you stop being thirsty with your money and like being willing to bend over backwards to make a dollar and you kind of chill out a little bit, it's funny how the money just starts flowing to you and you don't have to chase after it.
You don't find success, you attract success.
Absolutely.
That's a great one, actually. So if our listeners remember only one thing from today, what would that be? Apart from the last thing that you just said.
Is that to be successful in business, you don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to have the most money. You don't have to be the most educated. You just have to outwork everybody else. And that was the one thing that I knew I could control was my work ethic. I couldn't control what type of family I was born into. I couldn't control my looks. I couldn't control all these other various factors. But the amount of effort that you put forth each and every day, I truly equate whatever level of success I've attained at this point in my life to simply just not quitting. Like it's just being around. And so many people, like I got people that have been following my story for 10 years that are just now reaching out to me and doing business with me. And I didn't hound these people in the early days, like, "Hey, I see your company needs X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah." I'm just going to keep putting out the content, keep marketing. They're going to see me. And when they need me, they're going to call me. And I know they're going to call me because all the other companies that have started up like me, they've all fallen by the wayside. They weren't properly run businesses. They had too much overhead and ended up being cash poor and had to close down the business. But I know I'm going to be around next year, 5 years, and 20 years from now.
Excellent. I love that. So just to finally finish things off, where can people connect with you and just dive deeper into your work? How would you like people to connect with you?
Yep. If you can't find me online, there's something wrong with your fingers. You just search Mr. Preneur.
Just Google your name, right?
Just Google me. Google me. Just go. My website's themrpreneur.com. You can go check us out there. My Instagram, all my socials, Mr. Preneur, Sam Anderson. If you search me on Facebook and things like that. But yeah, I'm not hard to find online.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Sam. Any final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
I'd just like to congratulate you, man, on what you're building here and what you're doing. Like, just getting to chat with you a little bit and learn about your journey. I'm always excited when people get into the podcast space because I'm telling you, we are nowhere close to saturation. And I'm not sure what the market looks like in the UK with what you're building, but there are not enough of podcasts like these. Like it's great to get the insights from your Mark Cubans and your Steve Jobs and all that kind of stuff, but like you can learn something from everyday people, and the people that you're interviewing, the value that you're providing people by getting this podcast going, man. I just want to say kudos to you, man, and do not stop. Keep rolling with this thing.
I don't intend to. I enjoy it too much.
Yo.
Well, thank you very much, buddy, and I'll speak to you soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Take care.